What's going, Balkan Architect? It's Guys here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about steel structures in Revit. So I'm going to be sharing with you these 5 tips about steel structures in Revit. I'm going to be talking about placing steel elements. I'm going to be talking about proper alignment of those elements. I'm going to be talking about trusses and how to customize them to make them work properly and make sure that all of the elements are the ones that you want there. And then finally we're going to be talking about using connections and also kind of fine-tuning the customization on steel structures as well. Now, before we jump into Revit and start covering these kind of tips for steel structures, I would like to recommend that you check out my course on, well, exactly, steel structures in Revit. So I'm going to link it up just below this video in the description and then also up in the cards above. I have an entire course where I talk about steel in Revit and just all of the tools, options, workflow, settings, pretty much everything you need to know about steel structures inside of Revit. Also there on my website I have many different courses that cover many different topics, and apart from Revit courses, and actually there's 120 hours of content there, I also have Revit templates, some really high quality Revit families, and a plugin, so check it out if you're interested. And one more thing before we get started, make sure to like this video, it helps me out a lot. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell icon. Not only does that help you not miss any of my future videos, but also it does make the LPAC happy, and let's be honest, that's why we're all here. Okay, now let's jump into Revit. So as you can see here, I'm at my home screen, so let's start a new project. I'm just going to be using my custom Balkan Architect template. As I said, that can be found on my website. And as soon as Revit starts up, here we go, now we can start creating some steel structures. So I'm just going to be placing some basic elements. So what I'm going to do is, let's place a grid line here, just like that. Then I'm going to jump into the south elevation and just insert another level here. So I'm just going to go to level, LL is the shortcut, let's go 3.6 meters above. There we go, perfect. Go back into level 1, and now what I'm going to do is go here into structure, go to structural column, and here I've already have some columns, so I'm just going to use one of these. Now let's use this one, and then let's place it. So one here, and then one, I don't know, here. Hit the escape key a few times. Now I'm just going to select those 2 columns. Now you can customize their kind of base and top levels before you place them, but also you can do it after you've placed them. So I've already placed them, so I'm just going to change the top level from level 2 up to level 3. Okay, once we have that, let's now jump into level 2, and here you can see that these only appear as simple lines, but if I change the detail level to fine, now you can see the actual profile. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Okay, now let's go to beams, and if I go here to beams, we do have some beams loaded in, however, none of these are the ones that I want to use. So I'm just going to go here to load family, and this is how you load any structural element, steel element in Revit. I'm just going to go back a few steps. So this is the US metric library, the one that comes with Revit. So you just want to come here to structural framing, that's for beams. Open that up, then you go to steel, and I'm just going to be using the universal beam here, and you're going to get this kind of specify types dialog, and you just specify the dimensions or the types that you want to use. Here I'm just going to select this one, hold the control key, and then you can select multiple ones. So there we go. Let's try that again. Okay, hold the control key. Perhaps this one. I don't know. Let's go with, yeah, I think this is enough. We have 5. Let's now click OK. And now, as soon as it loads that in, now you can see that here we have those 5 types that I have chosen. So let's go with this one here, perhaps just from midpoint there to midpoint here. and now we have that beam. Now, one thing that you'll notice here is that beam is grayed out and we cannot select it. Now, the reason for that is just from the view range settings for this particular view. So what you want to do is go to the properties panel when nothing is selected. This means that here you have now the view properties. Then you want to scroll all the way down to view range. You click on edit, and then here in the view range dialog, you just want to change the bottom and the level or the view depth to unlimited. Hit apply. Okay, and now as you can see, this is now it's no longer grayed out, and also you can select it. So that's really good. Okay, now let's open up the 3D view. Here we can see that beam and we can see the columns and so on. Okay, now let's talk about proper alignment. So once you place any framing, like a beam, what you're going to see in most cases by default, it's going to be set up where the line, so you know that line when we were placing the beam, the first click and the second click, you're basically placing this line from this little grip point here, this blue ball or blue circle, up to this one. So that's basically what you place, and then Revit kind of generates that beam below that. And usually it's just following, kind of, as you can see here, it's following the center top surface of that beam. Now you can actually customize this. So if I select this beam, if I go here to the properties panel, first we have the reference plane. This, as you can see, it's grayed out, so we cannot change this, but what we can change is the start and end level offset. So if I change the start level offset to like 100 or something, or let's change it to 1, I think this is in meters. Yeah, so it's just going to jump up 1 meter up. So you can customize that if you want. Let's now bring it down. Also, you have the cross rotation. So if you have a beam that's perhaps rotated a little bit, you can change that. So you can just come here, add like 30 degrees, and as you can see, this is now rotated. So whenever you have weird rotation, usually I see this with roof structures, you can fix that here. Let's now go back to 0. And then finally here we have the geometric position. So what this is basically referring to is the just the position of the beam relative to this line. So this is that line that we have placed. This is kind of let's call this one the analytical beam, and then this is kind of the actual geometry of the beam. So here, as you can see, for example, the Z offset value or the Z justification is set to top. If I change that to bottom, it's just going to be from the bottom of that beam, and or that line is going to be kind of at the bottom of that beam. So the whole beam kind of jumps up. You can change that to center, like that, or you can change it to origin, whatever that is. So I'm just going to go to top of that, and also you can give it an offset. So if you want it to be perhaps at the top, but a little bit higher, you can say, I don't know, like 0.02, so that's like 2 centimeters. So it just jumped up 2 centimeters. So here you can see that it's no longer kind of at the top of that plane, but it's a little bit below, like 2 centimeters. Same thing goes for the y-axis and the xy axis, and also you have this thing called, I have this thing called cutbacks. So let me just select this. Yeah, so we have the start joint cutback and the end joint cutback. So basically when you place the element, you can see that the analytical beam kind of goes all the way to the column, yet the real beam stops here. And here you have these little arrows which allow you to change that. So you can change it, go all the way up to here, or you can go even past that. So even though the actual beam stops here, or the analytical one, the geometry goes past that. Or it can stop here. So you can actually customize that here numerically. So for example, by default, just because of the shape of this column, it's going to stop at 127. And if we just copy paste that, here it's just going to go back to the same one as we have on the other side. So that's basically what that number or what that value is referring to. You can customize the material and so on, and here you have some structural settings if you want to set those up, and here you have kind of the dimensions which you can change. Well, you can change them, but you have to change the actual beam to change those. Okay, so we have covered kind of the proper alignment of these beams, and now let's talk about trusses. So when it comes to beam alignment, it can be difficult, but when it comes to trusses, it can be impossible. So let me show you. When it comes to trusses, and let's go here into level 1 to place a truss. So let's go to structure, truss, and by default, you're going to have a few truss families here. Let's go with this one, Warren with chamber top chord truss 6 panel, standard one. Let's go with that. And before you place the truss, I urge you to set up first the chords. Now the chords are these elements of the truss, the top element, the bottom, the vertical ones, and so on. So you want to specify those before, just because it's going to make it a lot easier and it's going to stay parametric. That's what you want. So let's go here into edit. And now here we have the top chord, so that's the one at the top, the horizontal element on top. We have the vertical webs. So those are kind of the vertical elements. We have the diagonal webs. Those are the diagonal elements. And then we have the bottom chord, which is kind of the horizontal one. So yeah, let's get started. So for the top chord, you just go here to set framing, and then also you have the kind of the analytical elements. So remember here with the beams, when we had that analytical line, and then where the beam is, this is basically what's that allowing you to set up. So do you want like top of the beam and so on? So you set that up here. Now more importantly, the framing type, that's here. So you can specify this here. Let's use the universal beam. I'm going to use this one for the top and also for the bottom. So let's go with, oops, not that one, this one. Now for the vertical ones, let's go with, again, let's go with this one. And then finally for the diagonal webs, the smallest one. So the smallest one we've loaded in is this one. And then when you hit apply and click OK, and now once you place that beam, just like that, there we go, the beam has now been placed. Hit the escape key a few times, go to the 3D view. Now you can see that beam, and now you can see that the beam is basically corresponding to the elements that we have set up. So here we have those big ones on top and on the bottom, the vertical ones as the medium ones, and the smallest ones are the diagonal ones. So that's quite cool. Now, apart from that, you can customize the truss height here and the truss height 1. So that's basically on the sides is 1, and then this one is kind of the top one. So if we change this to 2.6, hit apply, as you can see, it just jumps a little bit, and we have a more steeper slope. Okay, so you can customize this even further, or perhaps let's call it make it look nicer. Just because this works for most applications, this is going to be perfectly fine. But let's say that you're a perfectionist and you don't want your renderings to look weird like this does. You can actually fix that. Now it is going to take some time and it's really annoying, but if you want to have nice renderings, you have to do this. So anyways, let's just use the tab key here. So if you hover over it, it's going to select the entire truss. But if you hover over it, hit the tab key once or twice, it's going to allow you to select the beam itself. Now it's pinned in place, but if you can unpin it like this, and then you can drag it out like that, and you can do that with the other ones as well. So just drag it out, unpin, drag it out, and now you can kind of fix this up. So you can go here to the modify tab, then you can go to the cope tool, and then what this allows you to do is just select the element you want to cope. So this one you want to cut and cope it by this, and as you can see, it creates that cut there. Same thing goes with these ones. So just go to that one like this. So you select first the one that you want to cut, and then the one that's going to be cutting it. And also, if I just select this, if you don't like this gap, you can make it smaller. So you can come here to the coping distance. So let's go with 0.1. I think this is like 1 centimeter. Something that I found, if you make this 0, it's going to say that it cannot cope that. So that's kind of annoying. So in some cases it is going to work, in some it isn't. If you perhaps know why it does this, why I cannot do it without coping, why it's going to mess things up, please tell me in the comment section below. I'm really eager to understand why is that happening. Okay, so we've covered the truss now. Now let's talk about connections. So for the connections, and let's perhaps go here, thin lines, turn that on, but yeah, I want this to be hidden line. Okay, so let's talk connections. Here, obviously, this isn't going to look like this in real life. So what you want to do is have some sort of a steel connection happening here. You can do that by going here to the structure tab, or to the steel tab, sorry, then go to connections. I think we have it. Yeah, we have it on the structure and the steel tab. There we go. Okay, so you go here to connections, and you just want to select the elements you want to have that connection on. You hit enter, and it creates this connection. Now, if you deselect that, you're going to see that you cannot find that connection anymore. And if you try to place it again, like this, hit enter, it's going to say, oh, you already done that. See that little ping that it does? That means that we've already done that. So let's go back. So where's that missing connection? Well, for that you have to go to the Visibility Graphics Overrides, go into Edit, and then here you want to scroll all the way down to Structure, find, let's expand this, Structural Connections, expand that, and whoops, everything is checked off. So by default, all of these are going to be checked off, so you just want to select them all, turn them on, there we go, and apply, okay. And now, here we can see that we have that connection. Now this connection, at this time, is only analytical. So it's analytical, it doesn't do anything. It just kind of says, okay, we have some sort of a connection here, but we don't really know what do we have there. So you can actually customize that by going here to connections, but first we have to load in a connection, because here when I select this connection, there should be different options when I open up the drop menu, and currently we don't have any. So let's just hit the escape key a few times, there we go. Go here to connections, expand this little menu here that we have. Okay, this is slowing down my computer. And then here we have all of the available connections that come with Revit. Now, if you have a company that you might have, if you work for a company, or if you have a company, that's even nicer, but if you work for a company, usually you're going to have your own customized connections, if this is something that you do or that your company does on a regular basis. So I'm just going to select the ones that exist here, but ask your BIM manager or whatever, where are your custom connections if your company has any. But anyways, these are the ones that come with Revit, so I'm just going to select all of them, click here to add, and now all of these are loaded. I can just click OK now, and now if I select this this analytical connection, when I go here to generate generic connection, if I expand that, here you can see now all of those are available, which is really nice. So now what I can do is just going to scroll down and find something that's going to work for this. So I think I've seen one. Yeah, let's go with the beam seat T. So that looks like this. So you just click, you wait for a few moments, and I think we have it. Let's see, did it do anything? Perhaps if I turn this to shaded, there we go. So sometimes it's a little bit slow to generate, but there we go. So we have this kind of seat, and I'm guessing it's welded to the column and then it's bolted to the beam, and yeah, that's what that connection looks like. And also, you might be asking, what are these two? This is basically saying that this is kind of the primary element and this is the secondary element. And if I click on number 2, it's going to, or this one, yeah, it allows you to change the primary element. Now, in this case, because I have already applied the connection, it doesn't allow me to do that, but on the other side, I think if I just go here to connection, yeah, so here, yeah, I should be able to change it. There we go. So, but it only changes as an analytical connection. Sorry about that. Okay, there we go. So that's what we have in terms of connections. Now, if you're not happy with the existing connections, and by chance your company doesn't have any of your custom connections, or any custom company connections, what you can do is customize this yourself, or you can create custom steel elements yourself. So here on the steel tab, we have plates, this bolts, welds, corner cuts, and so on. So you can just click this, and then basically it allows you, if I just go here to set work plane, pick a plane, click OK, pick this bottom plane here. Now I can do whatever I want to do. I can create like a little plate. So that's how you create these custom connections. And then you can, I don't know, place a corner cut if you want a corner cut. Oh, that's cool. So yeah, this is what that does, and you have many different ones. I'm not going to go through these because it takes a lot of time. I do explain this in my course. As I said, it's going to be linked just below this video in the description and also in the cards, that little circle above. Just click on that and it will take you to the course. So there you go. I hope you have learned something new and interesting. And please tell me in the comment section below, did you learn something? Did I perhaps fail to mention something that you might think it should be included in this tutorial or something like that? So please tell me that in the comment section below, and I'll obviously be back with another tutorial in a couple of days. Thank you for watching, guys. Make sure to check out my website, balkanarchitect.com, for more Revit courses. There I have over 120 hours of content, and I'm adding more each week. Make sure to subscribe for more videos, and also I've added a video over there that might interest you as well.